So today's video will be doing an install of this 12,000 BTU Perfect Aire DIY Mini Split system. So we got this kit off of HVAC Direct. The kit comes with 3 boxes. We have the head unit that goes on the indoor wall, we have the outdoor unit that mounts on the outside wall, and then we have the line set that connects the two together. So separately from the DIY kit, I bought this AC disconnect, this whip that connects the disconnect to the outdoor unit, the wall mount bracket for the outdoor unit, and a line cover for the outdoor unit. So in the outdoor unit box, we have this drain hose, the feet for it, wall sleeve, sealant, and pipe wrap. So in the indoor unit box, we have the head unit, pipe sleeve, remote, flare fittings, an instruction and the installation manual will be in that box as well. In the line set box, we have the 2 line sets and the quick connect fittings that go on the outdoor unit. And separately, we have this AC disconnect box. It's just a box with a non-fusible disconnect. We have our AC whip that'll connect the disconnect to the outdoor unit. It's just a 3-wire whip, 6 foot. And the wall mount bracket I'm using is by Ductless Aire. It's available at Home Depot. So in the wall mount bracket box, we have the bracket that mounts on the wall, the 2 arms that'll mount to that bracket, and then rubber anti-vibration feet that sit between the mount and the outdoor unit, and lag bolts to mount it to the wall. And in the last box here we have the Hydro line cover. It's also by Ductless Aire. And in that box we have the 2 sections of line cover, this top piece that fastens up top where the line comes out of the wall, a coupling, and then a bottom piece that mounts on the bottom of the line section, and plus all the screws to fasten it with. So the first thing I want to do is hang my indoor wall unit, and to do that I'm going to get it out of the wrap here. Turn it over on its face. So here's the wall bracket that I need. There's 2 clips at the bottom here I push up on and it comes off of the unit. This is the communication line that goes to the outdoor unit. And also in the box for the indoor head unit, there's this template that marks where the holes need to go in the wall, along with the holes that I need to drill for the line set to go through to the outdoor unit. So I want this indoor unit centered in this wall, and I'll move it left to right a little bit just to make sure it hits studs on my screw holes. So I'm going to measure down 12 inches and mark the center of my wall. Now I need to find out where my studs are. Alright, there's one. Man, there's one right next to center. And there's the other one. Since this is going to be behind the unit, I'm going to use a nail and double check to make sure I find exact center on my studs here. Okay, looks like that was centered. So this is where I'd like to have the unit, but I want to hit as many studs as I can, so I'm going to slide it this way till this end of the bracket will hit this stud, then this part of the bracket will hit this stud. So I need it to be right about there. So the end of the template needs to be 68 inches from the wall. So now I'm going to slide this template straight up. And this line here indicates the top of the head unit. So I want that to be 8 inches from the ceiling. So I need to raise it up to 8 inches. And make sure I'm 68 inches from the wall there. I'll tape this end. 8 inches on this end. I'll take my template on the wall, double check my measurements. 8 inches, 8 inches. Now I'm going to take this nail and drive it through the cardboard into the wall to mark my holes. I'm going to mark these 3 holes into this stud. And also here's where the line set goes through the wall, so I'm going to mark the center of that. And over here I got 3 holes that'll hit this stud. And then over here, I want to also put a fastener in the corner of this bracket because the head unit hangs on this end right here, and since we don't have a stud, I'm still going to mark this hole. Yep, there's no stud there. And then we'll put a butterfly fastener in this hole. Now, I take my template back off. Where the butterfly brackets go, I'm going to drill a 1/2 inch pilot hole. And basically the way these brackets work is it pushes through the hole, and as it goes through the drywall, it fastens to the back side of the drywall. So I'm going to push that through that hole, bottom one through that one, and then line it up with the holes that I punched through earlier over here. So I got my bracket in place. Now I need to pre-drill a pilot hole to go through the outside wall where my line set will go. What I'm going to do is just use a 3/16 inch bit long enough to go through the wall. And this hole needs to be at about a 3 or 4 degree angle so the condensate line drains properly. Now I'll take a 2.5 inch hole saw and drill out this hole. Now I'll take the same hole saw and drill a hole through the outside wall here. Instead of trying to drill through the fiberglass insulation and getting it all wadded up, I'm just going to take this same bit and just push it aside. And I'll just take a piece of 2-inch conduit and use it as a sleeve, slide it in there, and I'll just put a couple of screws around it to hold it in place so it doesn't slide around when we slide our line set through. So in this indoor unit, we need to twist these pipes up so they go out through the wall. So we just grab them and slowly twist them. Until they're straight up. And then the same thing with our drain hose. You need to pull it up, and the drain hose needs to be on the bottom of the line set so it drains out properly. And also our communication cable needs to go in with that. And we'll take our line set wrap and wrap it around here. And we just want to wrap almost to the end of this insulation, just enough to get it through the wall, and we'll finish the rest of the wrap later. For some reason this line wrap is non-adhesive, so we have to hold it in place with some electrical tape. And now we're ready to set the indoor unit. So first thing I'm going to do is feed the communication cable through this sleeve in the wall, all 25 feet of it. And then this unit hooks on the top, on the bracket, and it snaps in the bottom. There it is. So that's pretty much it for what we have to do on the inside. So these brackets that we're using to mount this outdoor unit have little rubber feet on the bottom here. We want those to sit against this board, so I'm just going to hold it where the foot is on the board there. And we need to hit our studs again out here. So we marked our studs are right here. So that's where that one goes, and I'll level across and mark this one and pre-drill holes for our lag bolts. So this bracket mounts on the wall, and then these slide on the end like this. Since we're installing this on metal, we're going to use 1-inch spacers put in behind it. And then run our lag into our pre-drilled hole here. Make sure it's level. So now we know this one needs to be all the way over, and we need to space that one out 20 inches. And I'm just going to use a couple of self-tapping screws and run it through this hole to hold these brackets in place. Since our line set's going to come down through here, we're going to have to cut the end of this bracket off so it can sit flush on the wall. So now we've got these little rubber feet that we're going to put on this bracket, and then the unit will sit on that. We're going to have the unit sitting all the way out, so I'm going to fasten the front ones first, and then we'll adjust the back ones accordingly. Leave these back ones loose so they can slide a little bit. So we got our unit set. Now we want to just level it. Looks like this end needs to come up a little bit. So these rubber feet on the back of these brackets are adjustable. I'll just screw this one in. How's that? All right, so our unit's level and fastened in place. So now I'm going to remove these screws I put in earlier. And the top part of this pipe cover comes apart like this. I'll feed the communication cable through that. Slide it over my line set. And this comes with long and short screws. The long screws go through this weather head into the wall here. So at this point, I'm going to put a bead of silicone around my pipe sleeve to seal it to the wall. So now I'm going to take a section of my pipe cover, and the part with the flute in it is the part that goes onto the wall. So I'll just slide that into this top collar here, and I'll keep it down about 1/4 inch to allow for expansion, and I'll drill in the middle of it, just drill a hole through the flute. So here's my coupling, slide it in behind that section. Now I'm going to have to cut a notch into this Z channel so I can slide this down through there and flush with the wall. So we had to cut this last section just to get it down behind the unit here. And same thing, I'll just keep it down 1/4 inch. Put a screw in the middle of it here. And then we got our bottom piece that goes on the end here. Kind of dress it up. So now we're going to unroll about 6 foot of line set here. Straighten it out, the part that's coming down the wall. See, that's pretty good. So now I need to take this line set and carefully bend them down to fit in my channel here. This part's kind of crucial to not kink the line. I'm going to leave it out just a little bit so I can get my wrap in behind that. And I'll fasten my drain tube here, slide it all the way up till it overlaps the ring on the other one. And I'll put a couple rounds of electrical tape on it just to make sure it stays on there. So at this point I'm ready to connect my line here. And you see these caps are color coded, so the gray goes on the gray. And I'll bend this line till it lines up straight with the other one. I want to be very careful not to cross thread this. Should be able to thread it on a good bit by hand. Then I'll use a pair of crescent wrenches, one on the upper to keep it from twisting my copper line, then tighten it down. Now the instructions on this are a little bit vague. It says tight plus 1/4 turn. Doesn't say hand tight or wrench tight. So I'm just going to go somewhat snug. Pretty much until the threads disappear. Right there, just good and snug. I believe that's what they want. Then same thing on this blue one. So they send this extra piece of insulation to cover up this joint here. I'm gonna wrap the big line and then just bring it around and then wrap the little line as well. And it'll hold that in place with electrical tape for now. So at this point I'm gonna take some electrical tape and every couple feet I'm going to wrap all these together. So now I'll take this pipe wrap and I'm going to start down here and wrap everything together. This probably wouldn't be necessary since we're doing the line cover set, but it doesn't hurt to use it. I'm going to stop this wrap right at the bottom of the line cover. So now I'm going to finish bending this line into this line cover. So this line cover section just snaps on. Before I put this cover on, I'm going to use this gray putty that they sent to fill in this air gap around this line set. I'm also going to put a bead of silicone along the top of this weatherhead to prevent any water from running in behind it. And then this top piece just hooks on there, sets in place like that. And then I'll use these 3 short screws and fasten it on. So now I'm going to snap this bottom section on, put my coupling cover on. Underneath this cover is where the connections are for the line set, so I'm going to take this off. And underneath this cover is the connections for the electrical. So now I need to fasten these quick set couplings to this outdoor unit so I can fasten my line set to it. And these are not color coded, but the ends are different size, so the small end goes onto the small line here. And then the one with the bigger end goes down on this big line. So the small one gets tightened to 20 foot-pounds, this big one gets tightened to 30 foot-pounds. I don't have a torque wrench, so I'm going to have to just kind of guess at it here. So now I'll just grab some of my coil and again just kind of carefully bending it in different areas. I don't want to bend it all in one spot so I don't kink. And I want to bend this to where it lines up nice and straight with it and it's not stressed either way, because I want to be very careful not to cross thread this. These are color coded again, so I'm going to remove the gray caps. And just screw it on there. Again, I should be able to hand tighten it quite a ways. If not, that means I'd have it cross threaded. Now this one actually gets threaded until it bottoms out, until there's no threads visible. Same thing on the top line here, just kind of gently bend it. So now I need to remove this top valve cap. I'm just going to back this Allen screw out until it stops. This will release the refrigerant into the unit. I'll put this cap back on, and I want this fairly snug as this does seal. Same thing on this bottom. And now the unit should be fully charged. We're going to zip tie this extra line set to this bracket back here, just to hold it in place. And this drain line, I'm just going to zip tie it to the bracket and let it run out here to the end, and I'll cut it off about the end of the bracket. I'm going to bring my communication cable around here and zip tie it to this line. Instead of using this connector, I'm actually just going to cut this line off and hardwire it in. Pop in a plastic grommet. So first I'm going to do the red one that's all the way to the right. Then I'll do the black one. And then the white one. And then my ground goes over here on this green screw. So that's it for the communication line. Now I need to wire in my whip here. This is only a 110 unit, so we'll only have ground, neutral, and a hot leg. Here's the wire coming from the breaker panel. I'll just feed that through the back of my disconnect, through my grommet. Make sure it's nice and level. First I'm gonna strip my wire coming from the breaker panel. So the ground goes back here on this little block. I'll put the hot wire on the right-hand side here. And the neutral on the left-hand side. So obviously the green wire goes to the ground. And then the black hot wire next to the hot wire coming from the breaker panel. And again, I need to make this red wire a white wire, which means it'll be a neutral wire. And put it in the block next to the neutral from the breaker panel. Now this thing is directional. This way is on, this way is off, but I want the unit to be on, so I'm going to turn it that way, plug it in. So now we just power up our unit, and we'll put our batteries in our remote here. And power it on. And we'll hit the mode button until we're over here at the air conditioning. And also, as you see, it says Celsius. To switch the remote from Celsius to Fahrenheit, you hold down the minus and the mode button for 3 seconds. Okay, so it's set to 73, we turn it down to 71, and we should be getting some air. We're getting cold air, so it's definitely pumping out some cold air. Now we need to go back outside and do a leak check, and that should be it. So with the unit running, I'm just going to take a dish soap and water mixture and spray it on these joints. See if we get any air bubbles. I forgot to do it, but I should have done this on the upper connection as well before I put my pipe cover on. But at this point it's all wrapped and covered up, so I'm just going to hope for the best. I'm not seeing anything, so I think we're good to go. So one thing I'm really impressed with these units is how quiet they are. You could easily be having a normal conversation standing right next to it. It's super quiet. So these units come with a 7-year parts and a 7-year compressor warranty, and I'm really curious if they'll honor it or how they'll hold up over the years. So check the comments section or leave me a comment, and I'll keep you guys updated through the years as how they've held up and if we've had any issues out of them. But anyway, so that's it for today's project. Thanks for tuning in.